you're listening to Desynced Nerds, a sleepy edition of the Nintendo Switch podcast that we do every week. This is episode 28, airing on Monday, the 16th of April. We're your hosts. I'm Colin. He's Devon, bringing you all the latest news and hot topics from around the internet. This week we have whatever Sega Ages is, good news and bad news for Valkyrie Chronicles, and a few updates for Wolfenstein and Dark Souls. But first, Devon, Week in Gaming. What have you been doing?
I definitely did not impulse buy Don't Starve. That had nothing. That was not on my week.
Okay, cool. Let's move on then.
I did play a little bit of Axiom Verge, which I thought I was really close to the end of, and then you get like this teaser ending, or not teaser, but like a fake ending where it really looks like the end of the game, and then it's like, no, actually, just kidding, which is good because I would have been pissed if that was the end of the game because it's not.
Kirby Star Allies does that after the first of the 4 worlds. Like you beat King Dedede and it's just like, that's the game, and it rolls the credits and it plays all the music, and then it like rewinds on you. It's kind of funny.
That's pretty troll. But yeah, that's basically all I did. We will be talking about Don't Starve a little bit more later, and eventually I'm going to deep dive into Axiom Verge, but I'm not there yet, so. But yeah, what did you do?
Deep dives, though. We're going to deep dive into KSA at the end of the show, Kirby Star Allies. So I actually finished Kirby Star Allies, which is kind of, necessary to do a segment on it. Started Bayo 2, and I'm really actually enjoying Bayo 2, which I don't know if I'm just so desensitized to it all now that I can actually appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, that's a thing that's happening. I kind of want to play Breath of the Wild again, but I have too many other things to do.
You have way too many games. You've shown me your game list, and it's bigger than my game list, and mine gives me anxiety, so.
But yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Listen.
Well, that was not good. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hey, listen.
I don't know what happened
Is that
there.
better?
Yeah.
Transition?
She like distorted for the first half of the word, and I was anyway.
If you want, I can just yell transition every time. Is that what you want?
I should probably record that and use that as a transition for the 3 people that get that joke.
Actually, you should take the actual show slogan that we cannot actually say on air and just use that as a transition.
Anyway, tell me about the news.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, news. So the first thing on the docket, Megaman X Legacy Collection hype. Hype, though? Really hype? Is that the right word?
Yeah, I mean, I wrote that as I was still excited about it, and then the more I heard about it, the sadder I was. So it is going to be 2 distinct games, which is not a big deal. I mean, it's kind of annoying. It seems silly, but whatever. So if you have a different console, if you've got an Xbox One or a PS4, it will be 2 distinct discs that come in the box. If you have a Switch, it's 1 cartridge, and then the second game is on a digital download code, which I just can't get behind. I don't like this, and I don't like this is more and more becoming a thing. I mean, we were spitballing about where this might have come from, and like, what did we hit? What did we arrive at?
That Nintendo, for some reason, really likes their cartridges, and cartridges are just cost prohibitive, and they pretty much will always be like behind the 8 ball in terms of discs and what video games require for storage. Like we read a thing a while ago that I think it was the guy who does Arc, like one of the producers from Arc. He's like, the Switch actually isn't that far behind in power from the Xbone and the PS4. The real issue is down-resing everything to an appropriate file size so you can get fitted on the Switch, fitted on a cartridge.
Yeah, I do remember that now that you mentioned that.
And I think that's what this is. It's well, I say that, but then Spawnwave decided, like I think he looked at the file sizes and decided you could fit them both on a regular cartridge that every other game already has out there. But for some reason they didn't want to do that.
I mean, I don't know. It's Capcom, and everybody knows how I feel about Capcom. I don't like what they do. I love their games, but I hate the practices. But it just feels super anti-consumer to me. Like, this is an anti-piracy, or not piracy, trade-in measure. Because if you trade it in, you're only getting half the game. So if you choose to not buy it retail, you can buy them each for $20 USD digitally, which...
That's almost exactly the Bayonetta model.
Yeah. Bayonetta did a weird, like, tiered version, but yeah.
I'm not exactly familiar with this. What is this just like the back catalog for all the Mega Man stuff?
Yeah, it's all of the Megaman X games. So the Mega Man games were the 8-bit, they started on the NES, and then they just always remade them as 8-bit games, despite the fact that they made them for a while. Whereas this is the more, like, forward-thinking 16-bit, and then eventually there was a PS1 game that got, I think it got full 3D. It might have just been side-scrolling with 3D like graphics.
So, but basically, the point of this is to like go back and play nostalgia type games.
Yeah.
Because my question that I'm trying to lead up to, and I know my answer to this question is, why is it okay for Mega Man or Bayonetta, blah, 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 to do this, but not Mega Man? In your opinion?
In my opinion, because for the Bayonetta one, there was one game that you actually cared about. Bayonetta 2 was the more important of the two games, and Bayonetta 1 was just kind of a pack-in. Whereas with this, each one of these games is distinct and important for its own reason.
That's basically what I was going to say too. Bayonetta is supposed to be like Bayonetta 1 is like a one and done. Just get it out of the way.
Yeah, it's just a little bonus. But I mean, I don't know. These are games that I've always wanted to play, and I get started on them, and then I get bored or I get sidetracked. Or I've only really recently come to a point where I play single player games all the way through, or to a significant like completion point. So I really want to go back now that I'm more in that mindset and actually play these games. But I just don't know that I want to do it with this system. Like, you know, vote with your dollar or vote with your wallet and whatnot. And furthermore, it's releasing on July 24th, and my July has got so many games in it. Admittedly, I'll be out of school at that point, but also I know Mario Tennis is coming out. I think Dark Souls is in that month.
It's in May.
Oh, it's
late
in May. Okay. In any case, early summer is going to be ugly for video games, so just some other things that they noted. They said that they would be developing it in-house, which is distinct and important because they worked with some third-party company to get the Mega Man Legacy Collection out. They also said that Megaman X3 will be the SNES version, which I don't really know what that means, but that's what they said, so for people that know and care. And then there are some cool new added features. This one I'm actually kind of excited about. It's called X Challenge, where you just get to pick a pair of bosses from a combination of any of the games, and you pick 3 different weapons, and you just have to kill those 2 bosses. And they're doing the whole like leaderboard kind of like competition thing, which I think is kind of cool. I'm not actually good enough to play that and enjoy it, but I think it's cool that it is there. They also put in a screen filter to smooth the pixels out, but if you want to use this, what are you doing? The pixel art's amazing. Go away. There's something about like 16-bit sprites that just, I love it. It's my favorite.
Did you ever play with the SNES Classic at all?
I haven't yet.
It has a CRT mode where it'll put like the lines in the screen and make the screen just look terrible. It's like the nostalgia on the little LCD panel.
It's amazing. It's like it's the only way you'll ever get that experience. It's important. It's like I've always had that dream of like making a stand-up arcade with a MAME in it. And that's part of what you need. You gotta get the CRT emulation. Important.
Bro, you can't use MAME, don't you know? They'll take you down off Guinness for using MAME. Don't use MAME.
That's a news article that we stayed away from because
who gives anyway, you ready to move on?
There's also an art gallery, but yeah, okay.
All right, next up, Sega announced something called Sega Ages.
So, more nostalgia. Woo! So it is a series of classic Sega games that are being re-released exclusively for the Switch. And that already starts a lot of questions for me. First off, it's a series of games. These are going to be standalone games that they're releasing. Like, Alex the Kid is going to get a standalone release. Is it digital only? Are they going to put out a cart for Alex the Kid that is a $20 or $30 game? Like that doesn't make sense. And where's my virtual console? Like the fact that this is divorced from the whole idea of a virtual console kind of to me says that that's not going to be a thing they do. Like why would they be releasing these games in this kind of its own special line when Nintendo's got a perfectly fine line that they've used in the past for a la carte sales of like old games. So, boo. You don't even care about VC, do you?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I won't say not at all. Like if certain titles hit that, they're insta buys for me. But for the most part, no, I don't care. Like if Rampage hits it, or if Excitebike hits it, or
I mean,
I don't know.
those are both like high contenders for virtual console inclusion. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah. I'm just saying, like beyond that, I can't think of titles that are insta buys for me.
Hmm.
Like that's it. There's two, so I'm not really, and I don't need to play those things.
Unless they went into the N64 era.
I mean, that's when I really started. Like if for some reason Microsoft is like, yeah, you can have Perfect Dark back, and they put Perfect Dark 64 in there. Oh yeah, instantly, and then you'll never see me again.
Um, so back to Sega Ages. They also said that they will be moving into Sega and Dreamcast games after the initial wave, and again, exclusively for the Switch. I just don't understand. I'm so confused by this. Anyway, the currently announced titles are Sonic the Hedgehog, Phantasy Star, which, Phantasy Star, that excites me a lot. That is the OG JRPG that I played back in the day. Thunder Force 4, Alex the Kid, and Gain Ground, which I really only know Phantasy Star and Sonic the Hedgehog here. Are you in the same?
I'm in the same boat.
Okay. I read that Alex the Kid actually did a bunch of like really well for them on the Wii Virtual Console, I believe, and that was specifically why they brought it back. And on that note, they actually said that they will be using that sort of like signals that they get from other ways to decide what they bring. So they will also be working with M2, who is well known for bringing 8 and 16-bit games to modern hardware. Again, I don't know who that is or what they've done, so that didn't actually mean anything to me, but it was in the press release, so I felt like it was important to share. And then, yeah, finally it'll be started this summer, so look forward to that, because this summer needed more crap in it. I'm already overwhelmed and it hasn't even started yet.
Aren't you glad DQ11 isn't coming out yet? In the summer, like with the rest of them, which I'm sure we talk about in a minute. But anyway, the next thing actually on the docket, Stardew Valley. Ready for this? Stardew Valley multiplayer. Watch 2018. Cue the drum roll.
The dramatic music, like Firewatch 2018 in the news article in the news.
The suspense is killing me. Just keep going.
Anyway, it'll be ready in about a month, or could be ready, rather. That's a very important part of that word. It could be ready in about a month, as sourced on Concerned Ape's Twitter on the 10th of April. So 6 days ago, he said this.
My watch says that's the summer.
I hate you. He's also said in the way long past that the way long past, that's not a real phrase. Way in the past.
On it.
That they will be doing a PC rollout first, and then it'll slowly bleed out to the other systems. I also know that he said that the Switch was a fairly sizable revenue stream for him, so it'll probably go there after PC before the
as
other
it is
consoles.
for literally everything on there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
I mean, that's kind of becoming a problem for other people. Like, game discovery is becoming obnoxious to the point of the Steam, like how Steam is. But we're not talking about that this week, though we will at some point, I'm sure, just because it's such an issue. So yeah, this is a thing. I'm excited for it, and I don't need more games to play, but I'll definitely play it. Are you?
I think Jasmine brought this up the other day, and I had like a moment of panic, like, oh, I totally forgot this was happening. I haven't I don't have that anywhere on my games list, but I have to play this when it comes back out.
We gotta get a Desynced Nerds farm. Get Tristan in there.
Oh my god. We don't need trolls on our farm. Moving on. Good news, bad news regarding Valkyria Chronicles. Let's start with the good news.
Are we starting? Oh yeah, we are starting with the good news. The first game is being ported to all modern consoles, including the Switch, which is pretty exciting. It'll be 1850. Oh, I should all say, this is currently only in Japan. I'm sure it'll come. Like, there's no reason not to, but I mean, maybe they could pull a Capcom and just not bring it to the States.
Not bring Monster Hunter to the States?
Yeah, I'm not bitter. So it's currently priced at 1850. Again, rough conversion from yen. But if you pick up Valkyria Chronicles 4, it's only $4.50. Again, rough conversion from yen. So that's amazing. They're basically giving it away, especially if you buy Valkyria Chronicles, the new one, 4. It will also come with all DLC packed in, which is like, I feel like we're seeing a company do this sort of thing well. This is a re-release of an old game. They're just trying to like whet the appetite for their new mainline release. It's not really like, this doesn't really look like a profit run here.
This is kind of like, well, this is a more extreme version of the Bayonetta, because Bayonetta 3 got announced. So like, oh, by the way, here's 1 and 2. Go play with that while we work on 3. Except this is like a $5 game. What?
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
At $5, exactly. And supposedly the first one was one of the best ones. I didn't actually keep up with the series after the first one, because I did play the first one a bit, but again, it was in a period where I wasn't really playing games. I was playing League of Legends and World of Warcraft at that time, so that was my life. But yeah, so this is the thing, and I'm excited for it. I kind of want to go back and play it, but also it's a very long JRPG, so I don't know if I have time for that in my life.
Yeah, you don't kind of go back and play a JRPG. You commit a month of your life to it, or a week during Christmas break.
Yeah, where you make it a full-time job, or twice
basically.
a full-time
No
job.
way. I worked way more hours on that than I did my job.
Fair enough.
So let's just skip the bad news. Can we do that? Can I read the Bethesda news?
Do you want to intro the bad news?
No. How about you? No, you just do it. I don't want to be the one that they all hate.
So Valkyria Chronicles 4 got delayed from summer to fall in Japan.
Boo.
Yeah, that's the right response. It's important to note that we still don't actually know when the NA version is coming out. We know that this is code based, or like performance based. It's not actually about licensing or anything like that. So it's possible that this won't actually affect the NA release date. It'll just still release whenever it was going to, but we don't actually know. So yeah, it makes me sad.
QQ.
But
all right, let's move on.
It does move it out of the summer, and thank God for that. Okay, sorry. Go.
No, I still haven't. Well, it's because there's no NA. But I was like, I still haven't pre-ordered this. Yeah, that's right. I can't. Thank God.
I mean, I'm sure you can.
7. I'm not going to check in the show like last time. Bethesda had some things to say about Wolfenstein 2, among other things.
So they're currently working on polish for Wolfenstein 2. It sounds like it's feature complete, and they're just working on finishing it off, making sure it performs well. They did explicitly state that they're working on bringing it up to the performance level that Doom was at, which, I mean, I would hope so. And then
this was playable at PAX East, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, exactly. So the game is there. It's just a matter of ironing out the kinks.
Crossing
and
the T's, dotting the I's.
Exactly. And they also
yeah, go for it.
They also said that they don't have info on the DLC timeline yet, so we don't actually know when that's going to be releasing or whatnot. But I mean, considering we don't even know when the game is releasing, it makes sense that we don't have a DLC timeline. So, you were saying?
I was going to say that's a nice segue into the next one. In an interview at PAX East with the VP of Marketing and Communication.
Yeah, he said that it is currently their intention to release games simultaneously on the Switch as with other platforms going forward. I think that in the past they didn't really expect it to be what it is, and that's why we saw these really delayed releases for Doom and Wolfenstein primarily. He goes on to state that they intend to bring everything that fits the platform to the Switch going forward, which again, I mean, we're almost 100% on their recent releases. All of their games recently, except for Fallout, which, why do we not have Fallout? Why do we not have the clearly superior game? But all of those games have been released for the Switch, so I have high hopes that we'll be getting whatever their next big open world experience is on the Switch. And on that note, he teased that E3 was going to be a big thing for them this year, and not just a big thing, but a very diverse thing. He said that they had multiple games to talk about come E3. They're currently in the thick of planning their presentation and whatnot, and he says that it is. I think his exact quote was, "We're currently in planning hell." So fun for them. Are you excited? How hype?
Yeah. Randomly, Bethesda's not a company I get excited for, but I love everything that they do. So I don't know what's wrong with my brain on that one, but
I mean, if Elder Scrolls 5 got announced right now, would you pre-order?
Probably not. I had to beat myself into playing Skyrim.
That's true.
And then I eventually did, and I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't go back to it.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, you didn't actually put that much time into it either. It was like sub 20
I put
hours.
a decent amount.
Oh,
I
did you really?
Like 40 hours, something like that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I stand corrected.
It's on my Steam somewhere. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I got
next,
hold on. No, I got one more. So
okay.
I'm currently struggling with this because I don't know if I want to play this on the Switch or on the PC, because I feel like I'm cheating on my Switch if I play it on this PC, but also these games are just better on the PC. that's just life. Bethesda.
I mean, now that my PC's older, I have 44 hours on Skyrim. Now that my PC's older, I'm more inclined to put it on my Switch. Plus, the Switch can go anywhere. My PC is rooted.
Yeah, but console commands, man. Bethesda games are traditionally buggy messes, and it's very important to be able to fix the problems that are there. So.
It's also very important to be able to mod. Everything. Yeah,
exactly. And mods are a huge deal. Though I heard something about mods being a not a Steam workshop, but a like Skyrim workshop for the console versions. I'm not 100% about that though, because I'm not a console kid for the most part. I don't know. Okay, I'm done.
Recently. All right, next up, Dark Souls will have no new content in the remastered version.
Womp womp. I mean, that's basically all I have. There's going to be some slight quality of life improvements, and then the HD up-res, but that's it. It's going to be the same game if you played it on the PS... What was that? I think it released on the 2 originally? I don't know. Not important.
Not important. So, Devin, are you you're happy with your Hulu, right? You're happy with your Funimation, right? Are you ready for that Drama Fever? No, wait, sorry, it's still not Drama Fever. Is it Netflix? No, it's still not Netflix, but we do have another streaming app coming. What is it?
Potentially have a new streaming app coming.
No, it's definitely coming.
And it is a huge disappointment. So, in a complaints form for this particular streaming app, you do you have a problem? You click that, and then it has a drop down of all of the platforms, and the Switch is one of them. And that streaming app is the MLB streaming app. Exactly, like who cares? Why is this a thing? Why is the MLB streaming app coming before Netflix? Like who are the people that are making these decisions? I want to be a fly in the wall for that.
This has to be a Netflix thing. Like they have to be the reason Netflix isn't on Switch.
If Funimation can put that out in however long they've had, Hulu can put it out. I guarantee you that Netflix has so much more money than both of the, well, maybe not MLB, but for the MLB streaming side, huh?
It's obviously not a money thing. There's just something's going on here, and I don't know what it is.
Nothing.
I think it's on Netflix's side, though. I don't think it's Nintendo.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. The whole thing doesn't make any sense. Like,
I'm just saying, MLB streaming app. First of all, I'm like, I don't see. Maybe this is naive of me to say, but I don't see either of those markets overlapping like almost at all. The people who watch baseball, I'm going to imagine, are typically not the same people who watch or play Switch. I'm sure there's some.
They're super boring old people, is what you're trying to say?
I'm just saying.
And just remember, he is at InXShrug58 on Twitter. No, you're DSN Colin now, my bad.
Yeah. No, give him that old one, yeah. Like I have NHL Network on my PlayStation. If NHL Network came to the Switch, I wouldn't download it.
No?
No. A, because I already have it on a different platform, and B, because like that just doesn't, like, I'm not gonna watch a hockey game while I'm out. Wait till I come home to watch it on a TV.
You could watch it while you're pooping.
You're a genius. I'm just like I can't imagine tracking a puck on a tiny screen would be annoying. Tracking a baseball on that tiny screen might be a little bit less annoying because it's a slower paced game, but like that's not a. Who's doing this? Who's this for? Why?
Clearly, it's for somebody.
Clearly.
All I'm trying to say is that there's got to be more demand for the Netflix version of this than there is for the MLB one, and yet for some reason, totally. I don't understand the world. It's a scary, scary place.
Let's move on to other things we don't understand. Hacker men are doing better than Nintendo.
in the ongoing, like, just stream of why are these big companies failing us? So there is a homebrew program that does save backup. We're not going to detail this. We're not going to talk about how or why or what, but just know that there's a homebrew program that can back up your saves. Like, this is a thing that some random kid in his mom's basement has figured out, and yet Nintendo still hasn't put it out.
It took him 2 weeks to do it, but yeah.
It's just why do these companies make me so sad? I don't understand it. And I acknowledge that on some level there is, like, Nintendo needs to be safer. They need to be more careful than this kid does. I mean, if whoever wrote this fries all your save games, he doesn't actually care. He's not really gonna face any backlash for that. People will hate him. He'll change his Twitter handle, and then boom, it's done. Whereas, if Nintendo fried a bunch of saves, but this is not a complicated problem to solve. We've had save backup since, God, what? Probably the first digital camera in however long ago that was. Like, this is not new tech. This is not new ideas. Yeah. I'm done being sad. No, I'm not. Tell me about
the speculation is that, like, it is available, but it's not until the VC comes, like the online service comes out, because they want to do cloud saves. But, like, I just want to be able to save locally. I don't care about cloud saves.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to save locally.
I legit, part of why I don't take my Switch anywhere is because if it gets stolen, I lose everything. And I just am not willing to, start over everything. There's a lot of save files on there that I actually care about, and I will actually go back to. I'm going to soapbox here for a minute. I do think people are a little silly about their save files in a lot of ways. I think that the person with 2,000 hours of Breath of the Wild who's literally 100%ed it, never going to open that back up again. Like, who cares? But, like, my Stardew Valley is coming back out when that multiplayer comes out. My Axiom Verge save is currently running. My, Binding of Isaac is something that I slowly work on. Like, these are saves that really matter, and I'm not willing to lose that time. And it just...
What about that Xenoblade Chronicles save?
Yeah, I don't care. I'm trying to sell that game. Nobody actually likes it. Transition?
Oh, sorry, my bad. I thought you were still soapboxing. No. Yeah, wow. Mimoko? Is that how you say it? Mimoko is releasing Nintendo licensed power banks later this month.
I'd like to put the funny names in the title so that you get to read them, not me. And it's better
thanks.
for me. Anyway, yeah, Momoko is releasing Nintendo power banks, and they are only licensed insofar as the Nintendo logo and Nintendo imagery, as far as we know. There is not...
They're not first party, basically.
Yeah, we're not 100%. There's no, like, warranty of these working well. Which, if you've been paying attention to all of the fried Switches recently, that's a concern. But real quick, the specifics of the power bank. It is $35 to $40, give or take, with a 8,000 milliamp battery, and as a point of comparison, the Anchor one is 10,000 milliamp hours. Am I saying that right? Milliamp hours, is that right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. And it costs somewhere between $20 and $35. Why is there a better version that is cheaper? Like, I don't know.
And with the Anchor ones, there's semi guarantee that they won't, like, fry your systems, because they use, like, a smart charge system. Who knows what these use?
But they got the Nintendo name on them.
See, but honestly, that makes me feel safer using them, even if it's just a licensed Nintendo product, because I feel like Nintendo's put their stamp on this. They absolutely didn't put their stamp on those Nyko docks.
Yeah, I mean, I want that to be wrong, because that just makes this whole thing so much more scuzzy to me, as I think you were wanting to say.
Yeah, I don't like feeling like I have a 20,000 milliamp hour Anchor in my, like, I've used it before, but now I'm super sketched to use it again. I have a flight coming up in a couple, like, was that 8 days? It's in math days. And I was, like, super excited to charge that thing up and bring it with me, because the Switch has, what was it, 5,000, I think? So I have, 4 times that, and I was super excited about it. I've already used it once, but, since the 5.0 update, I'm afraid to put that in there.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of the crux of the whole thing to me, is that they've come out and said third-party stuff is dangerous. Third-party stuff is dangerous. Don't use third-party stuff. And then now they're releasing their overpriced version of the exact same product after saying that third-party stuff is bad. Like it just, they need a PR company. They need somebody there to handle this kind of stuff because this just screams to me bad stuff, and I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to see that. I should say that I did research this a fair amount, and the consensus seems to be that docks are the things causing issues. There's something about how it pulls power while it's docked and it's trying to display to the screen and all that. Again, I don't know technical mumbo jumbo. I write the programs. I don't deal with hardware. Hardware's awful.
I mean, I'm gonna be 100% honest. I'm gonna plug it in there, and if it fries, it fries. I'll report back.
Well, thank you for being the guinea pig, because that scares me. So yeah, that's a thing.
Anyway, Disgaea 1 remake is coming to the Switch July 26th in Japan.
Wow! I meant to delete this out of the show notes. It's just a headline.
Cool. All right. The head of Nintendo's planning and development team, thank you. Shinya Takahashi gave us all a good head scratcher. It's actually pretty good. What we got?
So the direct quote is, Nintendo constantly works on hardware, so we have been doing research and development, and you may see the new system sometime in the future.
Wow. Such statement.
It's very clearly like couched in PR speak, and he's trying to not make a real statement here. But also, what was that? A month ago? 2 months ago? It was around the financials, so it was January. They specified that they weren't wanting to do new hardware revisions. They were specifically trying to avoid that through stuff like Labo to extend the console lifespan like that. And it just, so I'm a little confused by this statement. Like again, with the Nintendo needs a PR company to manage their statements.
It feels like immediately following this Labo, so that we don't have to make iterations, there was a lot of news about them, especially around the firmware 5.0 update. They're like, we're going to update the Tegra chip with more RAM, and it's like, didn't you just say you weren't going to? Okay, whatever.
Nintendo doesn't know what they're doing. But
anyway, you ready to move on? Did you have something else?
No, hit me.
This next one is my favorite, so I want to hit it. Nintendo is working with American Silicon Valley companies to scout out for new development teams / ideas. Think Labo.
Yeah, so that was kind of the vibe I took as well. So they're doing open applications right now. You can apply and you can say we want to, do this, and then you get a 2-month mentorship program with coaching all along the way. And then after 2 months, the team will be pitching their ideas to Nintendo teams. I assume they're going to have some level of like implementation plan in there as well, because otherwise, why would you need 2 months to pitch an idea? They've also explicitly stated that the results of this won't be public, so we will probably not actually hear about this again until they say, hey, this came from that development think tank thing we did
6 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. So, did you have thoughts? You sounded like...
It just sounds cool. Sounds interesting. I feel like Labo was this close to being actually cool. And if they had come out with something actually cool, the world could be on fire right now. That's not to say that Labo wasn't really cool, but it's just, I just wish it wasn't Labo.
The world is on fire. It's just the world of like 6 to 12-year-olds, and that's kind of...
That's fair. I think that's fair. I don't know. I'm out of touch with the 6 to 12-year-old demographic.
I'm very in touch with that one, so...
We're going to move on now because I'm uncomfortable. In the vein of innovation, Nintendo has patented some new tech, speaking of.
Yeah, I probably should have ordered those in a slightly different way. So, there were some great patent application images again. I love patent application images. They're so fun.
Me too. The best.
It looks like they're creating a system that will allow multiple screens to work together. The commenting that I saw, the internet sleuths, didn't seem to think that it was Switch screens, or at least not the current Switch screens, because of the difference.
The bezel was too tight?
Yeah, exactly. You saw this.
Was that really it? That's so dumb. Have you ever seen the bezel on the original Switch drawings was super tight too?
Oh, was it? Okay, so maybe it's just a patent image thing.
The thing that bothered me the most were the hands. That like they were supposed to be hands with fingernails, and they just look so derpy. But anyway, that's not important.
I missed that. I'll have to go back and look at those again.
So dumb.
But what we did see was, so they had two screens side by side. One of them was tilted upwards. It's very obviously like a bowling alley. Is that the right word for a single lane? A lane. A bowling lane. On the left-hand screen, you've got all your pins set up, and then on your right-hand screen, you've got the tilted up screen with the bowling ball sliding down the screen. And so there's a very cool idea there. The other thing that they saw was you saw 3 different screens. I think they were different sized. I don't know if that's important, but I'm going to mention it because it felt important. And it had a single image stretched across all 3 of those screens. So there could be some cool stuff here. I mean, it could be gimmicky. Who knows? It's Nintendo, and Nintendo does crazy stuff because they're Nintendo. So, right. For all of our complaining, they will always be interesting, and you cannot say that about Sony or Microsoft at all. They don't do anything interesting ever, really.
I don't know. I think the way Sony plays with their consoles is pretty interesting. In that they don't play with other consoles ever.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you're the top dog, why you gotta let other people, you know?
That's fair. Anyway, let's move on. The FTC shook their fingers at Nintendo again. What this time for?
So apparently Nintendo had in their TOS or in their warranty information, it was somewhere, that if you use third-party accessories, they will not be covering any damages or breaking. And the FTC basically said you can't dictate how users use your product after you sell them. The important thing to note here is that it's not like they can't... this can still be the policy, it just cannot be a stated policy, which, I mean... Yeah. They can still refuse to repair your stuff for whatever reason they want. They just can't say that that's why they're doing it. I mean, it's like...
I guess that's probably for lawsuit reasons.
It's because for FTC reasons, man. The FTC will come get you.
Yeah, and as we know, the FTC is batting 1,000 these days. But anyway, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 11 updates. Hit me. What we got?
Don't act like you didn't already read this first headline.
I read the first line. I mean, I'm not going to take credit for it. I got it from Spawnwave.
Yeah, fair enough. So Colin was right. It is an Unreal Engine compatibility issue. And
I can watch YouTube.
They said that the Switch version is still coming. It's just a ways out. And there's significant amount of work they're going to have to put into it, which I still am a little confused by because, I don't know, it just seems nonsensical. But they've also said that there will be basically no real localization effort done. They're not going to get rid of any of the risque content, which I assume is part of Nintendo's rebranding of we're not for the kids anymore, or not exclusively for the kids anymore. And they've also said that they're not going to be changing Japanese cultural references, which I don't know how pervasive these are, so I don't know how much I care. Like, I would imagine there's probably like sub 10 throwaway jokes about Japanese culture, and if that's the case, it's fine. But if the whole game is just one giant, Ready Player One, but for exclusively Japanese culture, I'm going to be a little sad. But yeah, and we still don't actually know when this is coming. We do know that the 3DS version is not coming out. Oh, I didn't mention that. We know that this is based on the PS4 version, which of course it is because of the Unreal Engine thing, and not the 3DS version, which was a concern that some people had, so woo for that. You have any thoughts? I know you're itching to play some Dragon Quest 11.
I mean, I haven't played one of these. I kind of want to play one of these. I like the artist that's behind all these games since the beginning of time because he did Dragon Ball, and that's pretty cool to me. But yeah, we'll see.
They're like
if I've got nothing else to play, and it's not, and I have the $60 kicking around, I'll probably play it.
I mean, you'll always find the $60 for a fun game. They're like a less reverent version of Final Fantasy. They don't take themselves as seriously as Final Fantasy does, but it's got that same kind of like the world's in danger, save it kind of feel. So. So
we'll see.
There's that.
Hey, that was kind of lame. You're just gonna use the old one every once in a while too?
Yeah, it's on the playlist. It's like
you got a whole bunch of new ones, and you want to play the old transition sounds. Whatever. Thank you. I appreciate it. On to game releases now. First one up, Football Manager Touch.
So it is $39.99, $34.99. I forgot what these symbols mean. Euros, €34.99 euros, $49.99 CAD, and £29.99. And they randomly dropped this over the last week, and it's amazing, and that makes me so happy. They had been talking about it. The producer teased it the week before last, and we almost talked about it, but it felt like such a nothing burger statement that I didn't want to bring it up. But that wasn't a nothing burger statement. He actually meant it. We're about ready to drop it, and so they randomly dropped it this last week. And I encourage this. I think it's amazing.
I mean, to be fair, they're about ready to drop Kingdom Hearts 3 for 7 years now. So,
I mean, yeah. I think they missed a whole generation. Yeah, they missed a whole generation of new games. So yeah, more than 7 years. That's impressive. Anyway, Football Manager Touch is a game where you pick up a soccer football team and manage them through the riveting world of kicking balls into nets. And supposedly it's amazing, and people really, really love it. I did not see any negative statements about it beyond I don't understand it.
Which was just me, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's a fairly obtuse game as far as... I really sound like I'm crapping on the game, but I really want to buy it, just to be clear. Yeah, it looks like a fairly obtuse game. It's very much so like Spreadsheet Simulator kind of thing. Anyway, so you start with a small team in the junior leagues, whatever the soccer version of junior leagues is, and then you trade players, you train players, you have to do your kind of like macro tactics for your games. But it is important to note you don't ever actually play any of the games. You never have direct control over the players in a game. At most, you set up your, what's it called, where you set your players on the field, and you have to like set their positions and whatnot. There's a word for it. Anyway.
You're talking about like building the roster?
No. Like these 2 people are forwards, these 3 people are midfielders, these are defenders. And you have to array them in that, align them in that. Anyway, so you set their positions and whatnot, and you give them kind of like high level, I want you to be super aggressive and try to score every chance, kind of like those kinds of tactics. And so that's how you play the game. You control them like that. Supposedly the game does pretty decent storytelling through like faux social media feeds. Apparently you get a Twitter feed that you can watch after every game, and it just kind of like, or not after every game, but after everything you do. If you trade a player, Twitter will react and such. You also get highlights of the gameplay, but it's fairly low res and not the focus very clearly. And yeah, that's Football Manager Touch. I really want to play this game. I have been wanting to play these games for literal years at this point, and I just haven't ever sunk the $40 into this game. So
it sounds a lot like be a GM mode in the NHL games, because you play as the GM. You can set all the strategies, you can tell the coaches what to do, you can trade all the players, but then you also get to actually play the game. And if you play be a pro mode, you have the same you make your own dude, which is a little different. But then you have your own Twitter, and you like respond to comments after games and stuff.
That's amazing.
And you get like a fan meter. There's like a family, a social, and like a team meter, and you got to try to manage all 3 of them. And your responses to the interviewers affect all 3 of them in certain ways. Like you can trash talk the other teams. They'll be like, "Wow, you scored a hat trick tonight," and one of your responses is almost always like, "Yeah, well, I mean, when their goalie is that terrible, it's pretty easy." and like your team will love you for it, and your family will love you for it, but the coaching staff will hate you for it, type of thing.
It's fair. So what I'm hearing is you really want to play this.
Yeah, for hockey, not for soccer, not for football.
Not for football.
Not for football America. No, wait, that's a different. Anyway, moving along.
You screwed it
Don't
up.
starve. Tell me about some Don't Starve.
You're not supposed to starve. I feel like that's kind of rule number 1 in
I
life.
play that game really well every day.
As
a
you
little too well, in fact.
Go to Chipotle 6 times.
7.
My bad. So yeah, Don't Starve is $19.99 euros, €24.99 CAD, and £17.99. It's apparently a very expensive game, according to one review. I'm just gonna put somebody on blast. And this is a gorgeous game. It looks like if Tim Burton were to make like an animated TV show or animated cartoon or something. It's so pretty, and the sound is also really well done in that people don't speak. They do that kind of like simulated speech of noise. But
And
But
letters come out.
for each one of them, it's a musical instrument. So like the bad guy is like some deep, bassy like brass instrument, and then your character is much higher pitched, like I think he's a violin, like a really high pitched violin. I'm clearly not a band nerd. So anyway, yeah, it's just such an enjoyable experience, which is a very stark contrast to the fact that the game is brutally hard and you will die a lot if you play this. So it's a very similar kind of like survival game as in Minecraft, where you're dropped into the wilderness and told to just kind of figure things out. The game is very light on starting tutorial. You get nothing, and you just kind of have to figure it out. And again, you will die a lot. The core gameplay loop here is you survive until something you didn't know about. Like, hey, it's winter. Did you know about winter? No, you didn't, so you're gonna die. And every time you do that, you have to like learn and take something from it, and that's the game. These are a lot of fun. I like them a lot, but they're definitely not for everybody. There's a common trend in roguelikes right now where they kind of give you grand like overall progress every time you die in an attempt to make the game easier going forward. This one doesn't do that, not really. You unlock new characters, but they're not so much upgrades as they are side grades. So again, if you're not willing to play a 2-hour game and then lose and start over from scratch, this is probably not for you. And then, oh yeah, one last final note. It's kind of buggy right now. It's not so bad as a veteran of the series, but if this were my first playthrough, there would be some struggles with some of the data that is missing. There's little like rabbits that you can hunt, and the spawns that the rabbits come out of they don't show all of the time. And then one of the monsters that you farm, the beefalo, don't show up all the time. So it's buggy. Clay has acknowledged this, and they said they're working on it, so hopefully that is a thing that resolves itself soon. So yeah, that's Don't Starve. This is another game you don't care about at all. It's almost like if you picked games for this segment, we could talk about games that you care about.
I mean, I did pick a game we'll talk about in a minute here.
That is very true, but not quite yet.
Yeah, that's it for the game releases. On to our, what do you want to do now? The emails?
No, there are no emails.
Okay.
If you sent us an email or gave us a review, we would read it right here, but we didn't get any of those. So instead, the question of the time period. So
I thought you were going to do another transition sound, because that was clearly a different segment.
Oh, I mean...
You're cheating me out of sounds. First, you're not even playing good ones, and now you're cheating me out of them. We need to have a talk after the show. Thank you.
I don't control how randomization works. Anyway, so how much do you let... Wow, let me start that one over again. How much do you let reviews affect your game decisions? That is our question of the time period, which I think I'm actually going to wrap up after this episode. Yeah, you can go vote on that poll at bit.ly/DSNpoll25, all lowercase. We've also got a Discord channel where the intent is for people to go in there and discuss it. So yeah, the options for the poll are 100%. It decides it for me. I won't play anything that my particular reviewer doesn't like. I have a minimum review score, and anything under it gets discarded, or I let it guide my decision but not decide it. Almost finally, I completely ignore reviews, and then finally, I listen to word of mouth, not reviews, not word off mouth. Let's just fix that typo. And yeah, you can vote for that at bit.ly/DSNpoll25 if you are interested.
Hey, on to the segment. So, for this segment this week, we're going to talk about Kirby Star Allies, because one of us was super hype about it, and then one of us actually bought it and beat it.
I like how you say we are going to talk about it. I'm going to sit here and listen.
I mean, if you've got questions, definitely ask, because this is going to be very one-sided otherwise.
Why did you do this to yourself?
Because you got me excited for it. And because I thought I was going to be able to trick Jasmine into playing it, and that only happened for like, I think 10% of the total amount that I put into it. And then I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about it. So first of all, it's very short. There's 4 worlds, and there's about, I want to say like 5 or 6 levels per world. The last world is a little bit bigger than the previous three.
Hold the phone. Let's zoom out a little bit. What is Kirby Star Allies? What kind of a game is it?
It's like a kids platformer.
All right, so it's a 2D platformer where the main conceit is that you absorb the enemies and you take their powers.
I'd say it's like a 2.5D, almost 3D. But yeah. You suck them in. You either spit them out or you steal their powers. I'm not going to say the word I was about to say.
Yeah, that's a good save. Good save.
Yeah,
Definitely draw attention to it. And then at the end of every, yeah. Moving on. And then at the end of every level, there's some kind of big boss fight, which I think you'll get into. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page.
Also, it's a $60 game. Like, it's a full price AAA game from HAL Laboratories. They've been making these for a million years now. It's definitely the prettiest one. So, as I was saying, there are 4 worlds. The only replay value lies in collecting all the things, kind of like a Donkey Kong, where you got to get all the letters to spell out Kong, or to that effect.
I thought there was like I thought there was a mode, like a dream world thing. Is that not a thing?
It's just a stage where you can go to get like boss characters. Like you unlock King Dedede, and then you go to this dream world once per level, like once following a level, and you can get Dedede as one of your allies. And then there's also the blue guy with the tongue. I'm suddenly forgetting his name. Then there's like the trio of Klein, the hamster, the owl, and the other thing. I'm like spacing on their names really hard, of course.
I mean, they're all.
You can get bosses from old games as allies, but you have to unlock them first, and then go to this dream palace or whatever, and that's where you recruit them. And you recruit them from like a roulette style, but it's really easy to time because it goes really slow because it's obviously meant for kids, which is a common theme. This game is definitely meant for kids. It feels like all the way through. So the collecting things is really easy. The puzzles are really easy. Everything's really easy. There are some puzzles you can even just stand there, and if you have the right allies, they'll do it for you. But if you don't have the right allies, you could potentially pull your hair out trying to figure out what's going on. But it's pretty obvious for the most part. Puzzle straightforward, very simple. The boss fights are a little bit like, wait, what? I thought this was an easy game. Some of them are pretty crazy. For the most part, they're pretty easy. It's a very turn your brain off and go type of game. It's like if you had a bunch of nerd friends in a nerd group, or even your SO, and that like really hate competitive games. They just want to play a co-op style something. This would be great for that, as long as they also suck at video games as well.
So the general trend I'm hearing here is that it was perfect for you.
It was. I mean, I enjoyed it. Thoroughly enjoyed it because it's not a Bayonetta, that's for sure. Like, it was easy. I just slept through the whole game, but it was an enjoyable sleep.
Right to Dreamland.
It's a great just chill. Just do. It's like it was almost as passive, almost until the boss fights, is like watching a show on Netflix. To be honest, it was pretty good. I would actually recommend it, despite what I'm saying.
You sound like you're being super negative. It's important to note that you did actually like that game.
Yeah, I did actually really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. It's like the aesthetic is great. It's super cutesy. It's funny. I like for the last week, Jasmine and I have been going around, quoting Kirby. He goes, "Hi," we'll just like pop out of the kitchen, "Hi," and like he does a lot of really, or it does a lot of really cute things. She really enjoyed watching it too. She did play a little bit, but it got like the boss fights. She sat down right before a boss fight, and the boss fight was too crazy for her. Which, yeah, I mean, some of them were like Kirby, like HAL Laboratories' take on Dark Souls, especially the last fight. So like. There are bosses that have pretty obvious attack patterns, like, if he's charging up, just get away from him. Well, the last boss fight, you're allowed to be in the middle of the screen, and it's really hard to make Kirby sit in the middle of the screen, so you kind of just get destroyed. The very, very, very end, trying to be as spoiler-free as possible, was like very Dragon Ball beam fight, and he like does his best Goku scream, and it was hilarious. I can't overstate how simple but enjoyable the game is. And if you love collecting things, because it's got like a puzzle system where you collect pieces and then you collect mega pieces. There's 1 mega piece per stage. If you enjoy that kind of thing, this is definitely for you.
But overall, 4 out of 5 Desynced Nerds.
We shouldn't. Let's break the norm. Let's go 19 out of 20 Desynced Nerds.
Fair enough.
Or no. 28 out of 21 Desynced Nerds. That's what I would give the game.
Now you've just confused me. And now I want to find the Dragon Ball Z style scream for a transition.
Just have them yell Kamehameha for like 10 episodes, and then that'll be our one transition.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta pad your times any way you can.
Absolutely.
Speaking of transitions, though, do you have any final thoughts?
It's a good game, buy it.
All right. If you would like to email the show, you can email us at desyncednerds@gmail.com. If you would prefer to tweet at us, you can. I've only said these things like 30 times and I still don't know how to say them. If you would prefer to tweet at us, you can tweet at the show at Desynced Nerds or at either of us individually. I'm at Kulana, Kulanah, and he is at DSN Colin. If you want to support the show, we are on Patreon at patreon.com/desyncednerds. If you want to support the show but you can't do so monetarily, you can rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, and that helps. You can also catch us next Monday at 6:30 PST, 9:30 EST, and 2:30 AM on Tuesday in the UK. And we will be at twitch.tv/desyncednerds for all of those. We will also be up on YouTube. The channel is named Desynced Nerds. And finally, we are on Discord at bit.ly/DSN Discord. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Peace.